Hi there, Release Fire here, so I'm going to talk you through how to beat Zealots in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They've plagued my days for a long time, but I think I've got the measure of them now, and I'm going to talk you through that. Hopefully the video is going to help you out. If it does, drop me a like below, but you can come into the order to find out a little bit about your target, but it doesn't give you much. However, it does give you the opportunity to mark your target if you want to track them a little bit easier, for example, if they're on a horse. Now, getting yourself set up to beat Zealots starts with your equipment. You want to enhance and upgrade everything that you've got to a fairly decent level, probably at least 2 on your weapons and your bow. Once you've done that, the other thing to take into account is that you want to be the same or better power rating as they are. Now, most of the early Zealots that you find are 90, so you just need to be higher than that, and that will start you off in the right direction. However, being the same power level will not guarantee a win. You need the right strategy and the right setup, and there's some things to take into account. So this one's quite a good skill, Explosive Corpse. It comes in handy if there are lots of other enemies around. You also want to look for your adrenaline upgrades to get multiple of them, and if you max them out, it means you can start a battle off against the Zealot with a few abilities to use back to back. The Stomp skill is another one that you should definitely have to take on Zealots, and you can also find another adrenaline slot at the top. And then if you expand your tree to the south, you'll find this one, Missile Reversal, which allows you to throw back missiles, and that comes in very handy against any of the Zealots that have got ranged attacks with spears. And then that leads on to abilities. It's definitely a good idea to have as many as possible, but any of them will definitely help. A man's best friend is good if you're struggling to get close to them, and you can get that ability by talking to the kid in the settlement that takes you off on a mission to save a dog down a well, which turns out to be the wolf. And then piercing shots, good for breaking through armor, so that could be used to take down certain Zealots. And if you want more of a long burn, then you've got ranged poison strike, which will deal poison damage over time to them. And then if you want to be able to get a Zealot that you're kind of struggling to get close to, then the incendiary powder trap is good because you can just blast it at the floor in front of them and they'll walk into it. However, with only limited ability adrenaline slots, definitely use them as wisely as you can. And if you can find other enemies around to be able to use them to build up your adrenaline slots, then that can work out well if you're halfway through one of the Zealots. Once you've then got everything set up, it's time to head to the location where you've stumbled across one of the Zealots, and ideally what you want to do is check where they are on the map and where they're heading to, and then get yourself into a half decent position to do some damage on them before they even notice you. So for example, for Red Walder here, I'm just waiting for him to ride on past, and then I'm going to jump down and try to hit him with an arrow shot or two from behind. That's the kind of sneaky plan I've got. And you can see when you target them, you can see the weak spots. They're kind of like this orangey glow on their body. And if you hit one of those, it has huge impact on their stamina bar. As you can see, it wiped out a whole slot of his stamina. And that meant I was in a much better position to be able to do damage on him later on. So you want to take down the stamina and then do some damage for the health. And this is the spear throw that I was talking about earlier. So he threw it at me, and because I've got that skill set up, I was able to launch it straight back at him and do some damage, again, without getting too close to him. Because the reality is armor is so strong that my normal hits don't do any damage. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that if you run out of arrows on one type of bow, switch to another type of bow, and that leads on to my next big point, which is that it's all about matching a strategy for the Zealot that you're taking on. So for Red Welder, for example, he throws out these like mines that fall on the floor. If you let him walk into them, target the center with the arrow, that'll blow up around his feet. And then if you just cycle, rinse, repeat all of that, it doesn't take too long to be able to finish him off. So again, here he's firing a spear. I'll just fire it on back to him to do some huge damage. And then when he jogs on into this little patch here, I can blow it up and finish him off. And that is the general gist of how to beat Zealots. You need to be the right kind of skill power. You need a good setup and you need the right strategy. Now, each one of them has a different way of attacking, so you kind of have to learn how you go. I'll be doing videos for each of them. So for example, you can see Red Waldo's video with the link above, but that should give you enough to point you in the right direction. Like I said earlier, hopefully the video helps you out. If it does, drop me a like below. You can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, with the links on the left, and check out the rest of my guide and walkthrough series for Assassin's Creed Valhalla with the links on the right hand side. Leave any comments and let me know if you're really struggling against any of the Zealots, and I will catch you next time.